not performing this task line correctly. This is task line number 4, okay? So that's why we just spent so much time on that area about setting up that table. This is so important that 56% are not getting this one correct. That's a lot.
I really believe that a lot of that on number 4 is because the students and the instructors interpret it as set up the table. That means to set up that station. Whenever they get through, they need to sanitize it and all of that stuff and put their water or whatever, their hand sanitizer, all that back on there. It doesn't have to do with the manicure table itself. Because whenever you call for the manicure deal, then it tells you to set up right then.
No. The manicure instructions do not say setup because the setup is right here. It's in pre-exam. That's why they're losing the point because they're waiting until that manicure service starts.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think that the instructors and the students are believing that
that's when it is. Okay.
Is the other.
Okay, so now you understand that's not how it is,
So
right?
you need to go in there and they need to change that wording to set up the manicure table.
But then I'm giving them the task line. You see what I'm saying? So if you understand as instructors what they're supposed to do, because if I say in there which involves setting up your manicure table, did I not just give away that point? There's no point in having the point there if I'm going to tell them to do that. It's an assessment of following instructions. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
My students were told that when they were taking the wet sanitizer, that they was no longer needed because they were using disposable implements. And so they told them, please don't even bother bringing it in.
They don't have to. They don't have to, but a rater should not tell them that, okay? But they don't have to, and believe me, I'm taking notes of all these things I hear about the raters, and we'll be doing a conversation, so I am keeping notes of this. When they bring something that is disposable, the task line says, immerses working surfaces of non-porous implements in a wet sanitizer. If it's a non-porous implement, then it must go in a wet sanitizer. So if they're bringing a metal cuticle pusher, that's a non-porous implement. They must have the sanitizer, or they would not receive points for this task line. Okay? But if it's disposable, an orange wood stick, there's no need for it, so they don't have to bring it. But they're not losing points if they do bring it. Okay? And they shouldn't be stopped at the site if they do have it. All right? But it's not necessary. Yes, ma'am.
When they set up their manicuring table, do they want them to stay at the manicuring table or go back to their station?
They can do either one, but if it were me and to stay organized, I'd do everything I needed to do over there at the workstation and then take my bag over to the manicure table, set up what I needed to there, and then I can stay right there without having to walk back and forth. But nobody's going to stop them. It's okay to do it the other way. There's no points because there's nothing to score. However, it just keeps it flowing for them. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, because on the instructions in your manicure service, it doesn't say table setup. It just says start your basic manicure.
That's right. And that's, you start with task line number 1. What is task line number 1 on the manicure service? Your hands, right? Okay. When it comes to procedure criteria, that has to go in order. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I guess I just don't understand why, with all of the other service sections, the sanitized workstation area is within that service section, but only the manicure is outside of that. What would be the harm in moving sanitized workstation area to the manicure service section so that then they know when it's the right time to set up the table?
This is pre-exam setup and disinfection.
I know, but I'm saying setting up a table is really not, because down here it says, like, for instance, in the facial surface model, it says sanitizes workstation area. That's in the facial service section. What would be the harm in moving the sanitation for the manicure service into the manicure service section?
I guess it would be no harm, as you
Right.
can say harm, other than the people who put this exam together, TDLR, the Cosmetology board. This is where they put it.
I know.
So we assess it and we do it, we administer it the way that they say.
Yeah, I understand
It's
that.
a
I just think if it's
suggestion,
creating confusion,
But
why?
it isn't, because you guys, you can't make it confusing, okay? Because you're wanting to do it like you do in the classroom. You gotta switch and do it this way when you're preparing for the boards, okay? And it's the way that you're bringing it about. If you sit and you tell them, the next section is pre-exam setup and disinfection, you need to set up your table, you need to set up your station, you need to do all this, you're not doing it this way.
No, I mean, we do it this way, and I can understand it, but if they get to their test and somebody says, stop, wait, then evidently the
That's where
proctors
we-
don't understand it, is what I'm saying.
Okay, let me
You
tell
know?
what happened.
Okay.
Our proctors, and I've been very honest with y'all, okay, we're not perfect, all
Right.
right? But we can try to make them follow the rules the best we can, okay? Proctors and raters are two different things. A proctor is a person who monitors the time. A proctor is a person who checks that person in for security. A rater or an examiner is one who assesses whether or not they satisfied the task line, okay? We did have proctors at one point that tried to be, I am the Gestapo in here, you will do it my way or no way. We have put a stop to that. We no longer have proctors in the room. Our raters do it all. We check them in, we get them to their assigned station, we read the instructions, we do the timing, we also alternate, okay? So I'll have an examiner or a rater who will start in one section, they'll score that section for this group of people, then they switch and they go over to this group of people, and that one comes over to this group of people. So not one person is scoring an entire exam. We're trying to eliminate any way of discrimination, any way of running this exam any other way than what PSI wants it administered, according to what TDLR requires. Okay, so we did take that away. In the past, I could say, yes, you might have heard that. From 3 months ago forward, I don't think you heard it. Okay, so that may be part of the problem. We may have been part of that problem, but I think we fixed it. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Having our students to do it right, and we actually do mock exams. On the pre-exam setup, I actually have them have a bag, the old school, used to be the sanitation bag, but it says pre-exam setup with the water bottle, hand sanitizer, disinfectant, paper towel roll.
Okay,
So,
general supplies.
to my understanding, after they read the instructions, the student can walk over, disinfect the station, set up everything out of the sanitation bag on the workstation,
Yes,
and then leave the manicure bag on the station, put the other stuff in the cubby hole or whatever.
that's fine.
And then walk over to the manicure table, disinfect it, and set it up.
Yes, ma'am. That covers all task lines associated in pre-exam setup and disinfection. Did y'all hear that? Yes. Okay, let me read to you what she said. Okay, what she said is what she has them do, and this is acceptable. It's not written in stone that it has to be done that way. As long as all 7 task lines are satisfied during that 10-minute time frame, it's okay. But what she has her class do is bring in their bag. She has them sanitize the top of the workstation and put her manicure bag up on top of that workstation, complete all of that that's done over there, then take that bag and go over to the manicure station, disinfect it, and set up the table. Done. Raise your hand, I'm finished. You have completed all task lines associated in the pre-exam setup and disinfection. They can sit down. They can sit down. Oh my gosh, one time when I was scoring exams, this was years ago, we did it at a table like this. And there was 34 students at a time, and we each had 8 students. And it was a manicure exam. So we had chairs right here for everybody. And we read this part of the instruction that they are to get set up and blah, 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 do all that. And once they did, every single one of them, one guy on the end, he stood up and he stood behind his chair like this. And then the next one got up and stood behind the chair. The next one got up and stood behind the chair. And I'm like, what are they doing? What's going on? It really messed me up because I didn't know what to tell them. And it was like, sit down, sit down. I was like, okay, in order. It was weird. Go ahead.
Are the raters required to stay in the room the whole time that the test is being
Okay.
scored?
Depends, because now what we're doing is we're switching out, okay? If you have a site that only has room for 6 candidates, you're going to have 2 raters. One will score one section, the next will come up and score the other. When you're not